Hi, folks. It is Thursday, and welcome to Thursday edition of the Daily Dose. A couple of things before we dive into the Daily Dose. As always, we want to invite you to share this Daily Dose out on Facebook if you're watching it there. And would you please like this service post? We'd love for you to do that. It helps us multiply the connections we can make out there and get the word out about the love, the grace, the mercy and grace of God. Before we dive in, two things for you. First off, this week and next week, we're doing a really big push because we want to get you engaged in a virtual connect group. You see, here's what I know. There are so many of us that are feeling isolated. We're feeling alone. We're pulling our hair out, if you have hair, of course, because we are craving connection. And so here at Calvary, we're launching virtual connect groups. Connect groups are groups of about 6 to 10 people who just simply make an agreement that we're going to share life together. We're going to share faith together and agree to gathering together on a regular basis. You can go out to our website, www.calvaryalec.org, and there you can sign up for a connect group. Second thing is this. We're going to have a little fun this weekend. Sunday, after we worship at 9 a.m. right back here, as well as on Cable Access 181, on our website, and on the radio. But after worship in the afternoon at 4 o'clock, we're going to do something just totally fun. We're going to have a game of virtual bingo. We're going to play some virtual bingo. And so you can find the instructions here on Facebook and then log in on Sunday afternoon and join us. Doesn't matter if you're here in Alexandria, if you're young, you're old, or you're anywhere in between, you're invited to join us for a little virtual bingo. All right, enough of that. Here's what I think. As we dive into the Daily Dose, I think every one of us has a question on our mind these days, and that's when is life going to get back to normal? Well, way back when Jesus found himself on the cross, I think the people, as they stared up to Jesus, asked that same question. They said, when is life going to get back to normal? This is insane. We're going to sing a song about what happened after the cross. The song is called Resurrection Day, one of our favorites here at Calvary, and it reminds us that things didn't get back to normal after the events of the cross. In fact, there was a new normal. Let's sing Resurrection Day.
Hey friends, it's Nolan from Calvary. We're going to sing a few songs today, starting with Resurrection Day. I hope you'll join along. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Because you're risen, I can rise. Because you're living, I'm alive. Because your cross is powerful. Because you rose invincible, I can get up off the floor. Yeah! This is my resurrection day. Nothing's gonna hold me in the grave. This is my resurrection day. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Say goodbye to my yesterdays. Ever since I met you, I am changed. This is my resurrection day. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh, 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 oh. 'Cause you rolled my stone away. Because my debt has all been paid. Because you stand in victory. Because you Resurrection Day, nothing's gonna hold me down. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, 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 whoa, oh, oh, oh. Good news is the good news 'cause you chose the rugged cross. The good news is the good news 'cause you rose up from the dust. Your gospel is the power that is saving all of us. So I can get up off the floor. Come on and get up off the floor. This is my resurrection day. Nothing's gonna hold me in the grave. This is my resurrection day. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Say goodbye to my yesterdays. Ever since I met you, I am changed. This is my resurrection day. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, 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 whoa, oh, I'm out of breath after that one. Higher than the mountains that I face, stronger than the power of the grave, constant in the trial and the change. One thing remains. One thing, this one thing remains. Your love never fails and never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up. Never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up. Never runs out on me. Yeah, your love. Your love. Because on and on and on and on it goes. Yes, it overwhelms and satisfies my soul. And I've never ever have to be afraid. This one thing remains. Your love never fails and never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up, never runs out on me. Yeah, your love, your love. In death, in life, I'm confident and covered by the power of your great love. My debt is paid. There's nothing that can separate my heart from your great love. Your love never fails and never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me. Yeah, your love. Your love never fails and never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up, never runs out on me. Yes, your love never fails and never gives up, never runs out on me. Yeah, your love. God, my God, I cry out, your beloved needs you now. Amen. God bless.
I will lift my eyes to the Maker. We want to take a few minutes here and lift our eyes to the Maker of all that is good and great in our lives, to reflect on our faith in our life, especially during these crazy times we live in. You have noticed, just like I have, on the news, the conversation has shifted over the last week. The conversation has shifted from how do we shelter in place, how do we mitigate risk, to how do we begin to think about opening up the economy again? How do we begin to think about life where we're not sheltered in place all the time? How do we begin to think about what life might look like on the other side of this COVID-19 crisis? And I think the question that's behind all these questions that people are asking about what might this transition look like is this question. And you can finish it for me because I know you've asked this question. The question goes like this: when is life going to get back to, yeah, you said it, normal? When is life going to get back to normal? And I want to wonder with you about that question, because I want to wonder, what normal is it that we hope to get back to? Because I want to suggest that I certainly want people to get back to work. I want every one of my friends that is either unemployed or underemployed right now, I want them to get back to full employment so that they can support their families. I want to get back to my kids going to school again because their teachers are way better at teaching them than I am. I want to get back to where I can call a hairstylist, or wait, you can call a hairstylist and get your hair done at any time. I want to be able to go to the grocery store and not have to wear that mask that causes my glasses to fog up. I want to get back to normal and be able to go to the restaurants that I like and just enjoy a leisurely meal. I want to get back to normal where our family doesn't have this kind of subtle fear of acquiring this virus. And man, do I want to get back to normal where I can see all of you again, and we can gather as church, and where we can go see family and friends, and we can hug one another and just not worry anymore. You see, there are aspects I certainly want to get back to. I want, in some sense, to get back to normal, but what I want to wonder with you about is, are there parts of normal that we should maybe pause before we jump too quickly into saying, I want life to get back to normal? You see, I don't know about you, but in our household, that normal included a slavery to schedules that had us running almost every night of the week to this practice and that lesson and this activity. We were running every single night of the week, and what I know is I didn't invest in my family as much as I should have. It left us stretched thin and never having time to really invest in the heart stuff. It left us running a sort of rat race. And when I think of getting back to normal, I don't know if I want to get back to that, to be honest. And I'm not so sure I want to get back to the normal where I took things for granted, where I took things like healthcare providers for granted, where I took for granted that guy who bags my groceries, or the people like our dentists who we can, anytime we want, go visit. You see, there's a whole lot that I think I took for granted back in those normal days. I took for granted my kids. I just assumed everything was fine. I took for granted, I know this, my wife. Man, have I realized during this self-quarantine time that I took my wife for granted. She does so much to keep our house in order. You see, there are some things in the normal that I think we took for granted. In the Bible, there were a group of people that were called the Israelites, and they were captive. They were made slaves in Egypt. An evil Pharaoh came into power. He was threatened by all the Israelites living in Egypt, so he made them all slaves. But God raised up a leader. His name was Moses. And Moses led those people out of slavery, out into the wilderness. And God wanted to give them the promised land. But they had to travel from Egypt to the promised land. And out in this wilderness journey, you maybe know what those Israelites did. They grumbled. Out in the wilderness, they said things like this. Here's how it records their story in the book of Numbers. That night, all the members of the community, this group of Israelites out in the wilderness, all the community raised their voices. They wept aloud. All the Israelites grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The whole assembly said to them, "If only we had died in Egypt, or in this wilderness. Why is the Lord bringing us to this land only to have us fall by the sword? Our wives and children will be taken in plunder. Wouldn't it be better for us to go back to Egypt?" And they said to each other, "We should choose a leader and we should go back." You see, I want to wonder, yes, I certainly want to get back to normal. To the normal of everyone being employed, of being able to go to the dentist and being able to go to the doctor without fear. But there are some things, I don't know. Should we be saying, I want to go back? You see, what I know about what God was up to with those Israelites is God wasn't leading them back to normal. God was giving them a new normal. And I wonder, as we think about exiting this whole business of COVID, I wonder if God also wants to give you a new normal and give me a new normal. Because I don't know that I want to go back to that rat race, back to taking things for granted. And here at the church, there are some things I want to get back to. I want us to get back to gathering together because I miss you all. But there are some things I don't know that I want to get back to. In fact, I sure hope that God is establishing a new normal among us. Because here's what I know. There are some people connecting with our church that would have never connected with us before. Before, when we thought of church as a place we go to. Before, when we thought of what church meant is gathering in a place as kind of this club. You see, now I think we've all come to understand that church is not a building. It's a community of people who are loved by God and love each other and want to share that love in any way possible. Because here's what I've seen. I've seen you doing that. I've seen college kids who would have never darkened the doors of the church, tuning in each night for the daily dose and on Sunday for worship. I've seen bartenders in town that I know haven't been to church since they were little kids tune in here at Calvary. They would have never darkened the doors of this church building. And you know what else I'm seeing? I'm seeing you inviting people like never before to tune in and be a part of our church family. I've gotten note after note, like one from a guy by the name of Dwayne. He lives out in Idaho, of all places. He's been joining us for worship every week since Easter. And you know why? One of you invited Dwayne to be a part of our church family. I've got a friend up on the Iron Range. Their family hasn't been to church in years. And they decided during all of this, they needed to find a church. And so they looked me up on Facebook, and you know what? They signed up to be a part of our church family. They tune in every night with you. And you know what else they do? They give offerings online. There are people from Chicago to California to Texas who are tuning in. Pastor Angie even has a friend in Ghana who considers this church hers. You see, here's the thing, friends. I don't know if going back to normal is what God is calling us to. You see, I want to wonder, is God establishing a new normal in your life and mine? And so I've got a couple of questions for you to ponder. Maybe if you're with somebody tonight, you'll have a little conversation about it, or maybe you'll call up a friend and wonder about this. But here are my two questions. What about that normal that we say we want to go back to? What about that wasn't so healthy? What in your life about that old normal wasn't so healthy? And then my second question is this: what new normal do you think God is establishing in your life on the other side of this whole crazy period of time we're in? What new normal is God working in you? Folks, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this with God and with each other. Have a good night.